Hey, sales leaders and sales professionals. I am Eric Thurwanger. I'm the founder of Think Great, and I'm the author of the Think Great collection. And I want to thank you for joining me today. We are actually joined with hundreds of sales professionals from all over the world, and I know exactly why you're here today, because this is the time when we are being tested as sales professionals. There is no doubt about it. And we are going to find out who's who through this whole worldwide crisis right now. I've been listening to a lot of different people speak about sales techniques, how to handle sales, how to increase sales during this time period. And what I'm hearing is mostly fluff, a lot of antiquated sales theories, and you deserve more than that. Your sales teams deserve more, and your clients and prospects deserve more than that. So in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share strategies for enhancing our roles as sales leaders, as sales professionals. I'm going to teach you how to build relationships, become more relevant than ever, and increase new clients. Yes, increase new clients during this time, because it is times like this when it is time to shift gears, because the playing field has shifted for us. It is no longer business as usual, and we need to make some shifts. In my book, Dynamic Sales Combustion, I use vehicles as an analogy for sales. I feel like selling is a lot like driving, and we need to drive sales more now than ever. We cannot afford to be parked. We cannot afford to turn the ignition off. But that's what I'm experiencing. A lot of people are doing that, and I understand why, but I'm going to challenge you today to not do that. Leading up to this webinar, we received hundreds of questions, and I am going to do my best to answer as many of them as I can over this course of this webinar. But then we'll address some of them afterwards. We've got something special for you lined up to be able to get to these questions that we're all feeling. Because listen, selling is tough enough even during the good times when all the stars are aligned. But this is our time to rev our engines and to increase our velocity. Most importantly, to increase our relevancy to our clients and to our prospects. You're going to hear that word a lot today, prospects, because this is the opportunity that exists. Right now, I know there's a challenge out there. I know there's an obstacle, but I'm looking at this as an opportunity, because this is when we get to truly show who we are. The playing field has changed, and I know it can feel like we're driving our sales vehicles through a huge, huge pocket of fog, making it hard to see. We don't know which way to go in sometimes, and we're just fearful. But this is not an impossible selling time. And I'm going to teach you how to do it by selling through chaos. Because during a crisis, you will never be remembered for what you sell, but you will be remembered for the impact that you deliver. Now, as we start to share some of these ideas, we have to address the elephant in the room. This is on the news, it's on social media, it's on the airwaves, it's everywhere. And most of what we're hearing is not good news. We're hearing about layoffs, we're hearing about stores closing, people talking bankruptcy, people talking about a possible another recession. Even Time magazine on March 30th featured a bunch of different stories on people impacted by COVID-19 and had 6 different magazine covers to cover this whole story. And what's interesting is the header at the top, when the world stops. Boy, that sounds horrible. I don't like hearing that. And here I am encouraging people to rev their engines. I'm encouraging people to keep driving sales, because I'm going to tell you my perspective, and it has not stopped. Has it slowed down? Yeah, it's slowed down. But this is the time when we need to put the pedal to the metal, and we need to do more. And some of you are calling in, have been furloughed or laid off. Some of you don't know what direction to go in. There are always things that we can do to drive sales, and I want to teach you how to do that, because in addition to all of the bad news we're hearing, and I know it affects selling and I know it affects buying, there's also some positive outlooks out there. We know the economy has dipped dramatically from where it was in Q1, but there are actually some projections that are showing that it will come back sooner than we expected and be greater than it has ever been, which leads us as sales professionals to make this distinction. Are we positioning ourselves for success? This is what you need to ask yourself today. Every single thing that we do, are we positioning our sales vehicle, our sales teams, and ourselves for success? What's happening is a lot of people feel it's game over. A lot of people are taking their quarters off of the machine. Remember the 80s reference there. This is the time to put quarters on the machine. This is the time to put quarters in the machine if you like the game pole position. This is the time to position yourself for success because it will come back better than ever. I want you to think about sales as an Olympic sport. And if it were an Olympic sport, how do you want to medal this year? This is a question that you need to ask yourself and your team. And I know what you're thinking because every time I've ever asked this question, everybody says the same thing. I want to win the gold medal. Well, that takes a certain level of discipline. It takes a level of action and focus, and it just takes a different type of performance than to just play the game compared to winning an Olympic gold medal. This is not the time to strive for the silver. This is not the time to strive for the bronze or just be happy that you're on the team. This is the time to make shifts. And that's what this is all about today, is what do we need to shift? Well, for starters, we have to have a sense of urgency. I am hearing too many people say, oh, I'll wait to see how things pan out. While you are waiting, your competition could be revving their engine. In fact, while you park, your competition could whiz right by you. There has never been a greater time for sales professionals and sales leaders to have a sense of urgency than right now. You see, most salespeople promise the world to a prospect. But now we're going to find out what we're prepared to deliver. This is the true testament of our commitment level. And why sales? Hey, if you're like me, most of us never wanted to be in sales. I didn't want to be in sales. And so it's going to be very easy to look at a crisis like this and allow it to get us off course. I started my sales career in 1999-ish in chaos, personal chaos. There wasn't even a world chaos. Gina and I had been married for 10 months when she was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was at this point that I left my career in the film industry and I went into financial services as a sales rep. I knew nothing about financial services. I knew nothing about sales, and I was a caregiver. Our personal world was in chaos, and I wanted to do two things: control my time and make some money. And what I found is, even in the best of times, there was a stronger economy then. It was people were buying. Where our chaos was personal, just for the two of us. It was tough to control my time. It was tough to stay on schedule with things, and it was tough to make money when there wasn't a world crisis. But I became a top producer. I even started my own general agency at one point in an environment that I did not want to be in, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how to sell through my own personal chaos. And so I had the unique opportunity to go back in the film industry, and I took my sales skills and I started driving sales at a media company in Santa Monica. And we did high definition work. We did editorial. We worked with companies like Lionsgate, South Park, and HBO, and MTV. And I had a very unique opportunity there to wear a lot of different hats. I was an account executive, a sales associate, senior sales associate. The list goes on and on. These were the different things I did. I actually started off as an entry-level scheduler there, worked my way up to vice president. I had the unique opportunity to understand how each of these positions functioned. And in that time period, while I was there for 7 years and 3 months, we had 303% annual sales growth. But it was through some tough times too. It wasn't always easy. And I put this picture up here, maybe to give you a smile. Maybe you can raise your hand if you like South Park. If you don't like them, you don't have to raise your hand. All right, okay. Okay, a lot of South Park fans out there. Okay, let me be very clear about this. I used to go and watch Matt and Trey make the show. It was awesome. Times were good. But I want to share some information at the bottom of the screen. Their 13th season. I'm still getting hands raised on how many people like South Park. I love it. Hey, episode 182 of The Ring was the first episode in season 13 for South Park. It aired on March 11, 2009, and it was in a 16:9 aspect ratio. It was in high def. This is what we helped them with. We helped them convert to high definition from standard definition. I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but I want you to take a look at the date. March 11th, 2009 was in the middle of the Great Recession. Not only did we acquire their high definition work, but they had 12 standard def seasons that we up-resed to high def. There are new opportunities out there, but you know what we could have done? We could have parked our vehicle. We could have taken our foot off the gas. We could have turned the ignition off on our sales vehicle, but we didn't. We stayed the course. Why? Because this crisis, COVID-19, just like the Great Recession, just like 9/11, just like every other chaos or crisis we've experienced, will end. And where will we be when we come out on the other side? I don't want to be where I was. I want to be in a better place. And so we were able to find tons of opportunity. Do you know why there's more opportunity than chaos than not? Because so many sales professionals park their sales vehicle. Just park it. Cars lined up along the street. They're just waiting for a better time. This is the best time. Now, I'll do a little Prince reference here. I said it this morning on a coaching call I had. When this COVID-19 epidemic is over, I'm going to party like it's 1999. How many people are with me? Can I get some raised hands? How many are going to party like it's 1999 when COVID-19 is over? I'm excited for it to be over, but while it is here, we have a unique opportunity to become the best we have ever been, to become greater. And that is what our clients and our prospects, there we go again, prospects, that's what they need. Now, here's what I've discovered during chaos, since I've had the privilege of working through different chaoses. Even when I was in the Marine Corps, the Operation Desert Storm, the Gulf War broke out. There was chaos, and yet recruiting still happened. You know what's unique? I just spoke to the commander for the Marine Corps and the Army here for the recruiting battalions, and they are just recruiting virtually. They're recruiting virtually. I even spoke to them, and one of them said, we are improvising, adapting, and overcoming right now. You see, they did not park the vehicle. They're continuing to drive. They just found a different path. Here's what I found. Buying has not stopped. It's shifted. And what we're going to find is right now, our sales might be idling. And we may have even gone through a phase, just like we did at Think Great, where people have things on hold. We're hearing the word postponed, not necessarily canceled. You do not want to stop your vehicle. That engine has to continue to idle because we need to rev it up. Because what's going to happen is as things start to come back, sales momentum will pick up. And where are we positioned? And then the velocity will hit where we're going to have a better GDP, a better economy than ever before. And are you still going to be parked? You cannot be. If you're on this call right now, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are revving your engine right now. You are ready to go. Can I get some hands raised if you are ready to kill it again in sales, drive sales to a whole new level? This is a mindset game here. This isn't COVID-19 game. This is a mindset game for salespeople. We all have sales vehicles, every one of us. And inside of our vehicle are our products, our service, our systems, our solutions, our team. We need to be an extension of our clients' teams right now. We need to be an extension of our prospects' teams, better than their current sales rep. And I know that all of our sales vehicles look differently. They do. We all offer different things. And it can be tough when we see the check engine light come on. And we know that a stall is coming. And even during the good times, sales reps could stall. I saw it all the time. Sales professionals, sales leaders, they would stall. Their engine would sputter out and they would stop moving. And these are top 10 reasons why it happens. Maybe they don't believe in themselves anymore. Maybe they don't believe in what they sell, or they have a negative attitude, or they're unorganized. They have no system. They lack urgency. Maybe they can't get commitments, or they don't handle objections right. Maybe they don't qualify their leads, or they're not asking the right questions. But then when you add on to it a worldwide crisis, you are seeing more sales vehicles stalled, pulled over to the side, abandoned than ever before. If you're on this call right now, you're taking the right step. You are advancing your vehicle, you're revving your engine, and we are going to get through this. And when it comes out on the other side, our vehicles will be light years ahead of our competitors. Here's what we need. The world needs more great sales drivers. We need to be committed to achieving greater results now in the crisis and after the crisis. We have to be open to some new dynamic ideas. That's what I'm going to share with you today. New dynamic ideas that can allow us to rev our engine and take off. But here's the kicker. This is the key right here. You have to be ready to take immediate action. There are going to be things that happen that you have to be ready for. If you are parked, you will miss it, and your competitor may swing by and pick it up. So while the world is shifting, we have to make the shift. You're going to have to shift some things. There's 3 things I'm going to recommend shifting right now. In the brief amount of time we have left together, I'm going to recommend shifting your focus, shifting your actions, and shifting your style. I'm going to give you some examples on each one. Step 1, we have to shift our focus. We have to shift what's going on up here. This is critical. The reason that most sales engines stop happens up here first. We have to focus on some things. There's the word again, prospects. I want to encourage you to focus on prospects. I want you to make a wanted poster, and I want you to list on there everybody you want to work with. Who do you want as a client who's currently a prospect? I want you to dream big, think outside of the box. It was great. Just a few days ago, I had a virtual call with a prospect, a Fortune 500 company. I think if it wasn't for this chaos right now, I would probably take longer to get that door opened. And what's that telling me? Their current salesperson is probably parked right now. You see, this is the time we need to focus on who we want to work with and what it's going to take to get there. Dream big, people. Rev that engine. Don't be hesitant to call somebody. But we have to focus on these relationships. And right now, we have a relationship. And what I like to say in the pages of my book, we have a relationship wave where we can monitor where a relationship is. And for every relationship with a client and a prospect, there's a high point and a low point. And when things were going really, really great with South Park and their other sales rep, their other post-production company, it was hard to get them to move. In fact, you'll hear things like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But at one point, they dropped the ball. And my engine was revving. And I had gotten to know them. And I had built a relationship up. And when their current relationship hit a low point, they got in my vehicle and we drove away. You see, right now is the time to take a look at your relationships. During a crisis, you will not be remembered for what you sell. You will be remembered for the impact that you deliver. Deliver and impact and build relationships with your prospects. Be there for them. And rank your clients and rank your prospects. Use a scale like I do, on a scale of 1 to 5. How would you rank your current relationship? And maybe reserve 5 for mom. Nobody can take that spot from you. Mom's got that. But rank everybody and figure out what your next steps are in building relationships. If you take one thing away from today's webinar, make a list of your clients, make a list of your prospects, and try to come up with ways to build that relationship right now. You're probably going to do a lot of it virtually, but there's some relevant information that you can send them. There's some dialogue you can have with them. We also need to focus on our mindset. How many of you feel mindset is important in sales? Oh yeah, there we go, nonstop hand raising. Yeah, it's critical, right? We have to focus on this. So there's 2 types of sales mindsets that I've encountered dealing with tens of thousands of sales reps all over the world. Parked mindset and motion mindset. You already know the direction I'm going in. We need to get a motion mindset, but we got to understand a park mindset because we may have a little bit of it from time to time and our team members might have it. And when they have it, we got to get them in motion. We got to get them out of the parking lot of mediocrity and back onto the highway, the Autobahn of selling. And we've got to take this to a whole new level. When our mindset is parked, we're too focused on status quo. We might have that 9 to 5 mentality where we just want to check in and check out. We're going to be closed to new ideas. We're going to be very self-serving. It's all about me, me, me. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're self-serving. We're going to be afraid of the changes happening out there. We might have a negative attitude. We're going to point the finger at other people for our own shortcomings, and we may be held back by ego. How many of you have ever encountered a salesperson who has an ego? All right, I'm going to see hands go up like crazy. All right, but we got to have a motion mindset, sales leaders. We gotta be status quo, not status quo. We gotta be status grow. We have to have a 24/7 mindset, available to make an impact all day long. We have to be open to new ideas because we are operating in a new environment. We have to be team oriented, not just internally, but externally. We have to be an extension of our clients' team, an extension of our prospects' team. Because right now, when this is over, every single buyer is gonna make a decision on where they wanna be. Your clients are going to make a decision on where they want to be. Do they want to be with you because you've had a motion mindset and you're making an impact? Do your prospects want to leave their current sales professional and come be with you because you've made an impact? We have to be positive, embrace the enhancements out there, take responsibility for our actions. We got to rev that engine. We got to just let go of ego so that we can cruise along and help out our clients. And the last thing we need to focus on is what dimension we're in. You see, a one-dimensional sales professional is just in it for a buck. If you are just in it for a buck, this crisis will shut your engine down. You're going to find out who's who. You're going to find out who's in it to make a buck. Now, some people have done so good at making bucks, they made a living. And they may have had their lifestyle impacted during this whole crisis. But I want to encourage you to become three-dimensional in your thinking. To become that three-dimensional sales professional, that three-dimensional sales leader that is in it to make an impact. Trust me, people are watching the news, they're listening to the radio and TV, they're listening to social media. It's nothing but negativity. You can bring impact. You can help. You may have to shift. We are doing virtual coaching. We're doing virtual leadership, virtual sales trainings, all these things that we're doing. We have shifted what we're doing. And then when it goes back to the way it was, but better, we will have some blending that occurs, both virtual and live. But we have to be there to make an impact. Now, after we've shifted our focus, we have to shift our actions. We got to get in control up here so we can get control out there. And there's some actions that we can take right now. Despite the fact that there's a worldwide crisis going on, we know how many want to raise their hand and agree with me that this will be over at some point and hopefully soon. It will be over and our vehicles are going to be ready for the velocity that's coming. But here's what I want to suggest to you. The number one thing you can do is set sales goals. Why? Sales goals have not happened yet. We set them now, we accomplish them later. That means as sales professionals, we are looking into the future. We need this. This is the engagement, the excitement, the enthusiasm we need, the belief level that we need in ourselves and our teams to set short-term goals that need to be accomplished right now and long-term goals that need to be accomplished after this crisis is over. But we can do the same thing with our clients and our prospects. Find out their short-term goals. What are they focused on right now in the midst of the chaos? And it is chaos out there. It is. We just hit, 1.5 million cases worldwide? This is what people are thinking about. Be the person that talks about goals with your clients. Be the person that talks about goals with your prospects. Because maybe their current sales professional isn't. And this is how you can get prospects to take a closer look at you. Help them to hit their goals. Because how many of you have felt like this is what it's like operating through this crisis? Going from point A to point B is crazy. It's all over the place. I get it. It's like driving in circles and circles and circles. When we focus on goals, it provides a clear pathway from point A to point B. I've used goal setting when I was in the military. I used goal setting when I was my wife's caregiver. I have used goal setting when I was guiding our team through the recession. I'm encouraging you right now to use goal setting to get from point A to point B in the shortest time possible. The other thing we need to take action on is our daily schedule. Listen, Father Time might own time, but we can seize it. And we have not a calendar, we have a schedule, and we need to schedule in our priority objectives. We need to find out the actions we need to take right now. Maybe we need to do more follow-up or more phone calls. Maybe we need to check the status of orders or projects in. Maybe we have a virtual lunch with a client. Maybe we need to do some more face-to-face virtually. Even networking. I have a networking event coming up with 100 business leaders. I'm going to be sharing ideas on leadership on a networking call so I can build some new relationships virtually. You see, I don't have traffic to worry about anymore. I don't have time where I'm in an airport. I'm not traveling. I'm doing everything virtually. I'm using that time to buy back and own my schedule and drive it. That's what we need to do. We need to rev that engine up. Now, something we really need to take seriously right now are the questions that we're asking. We need to ask better questions. How many of you would like to have better questions to ask during the crisis? Yeah. You see, most salespeople, if they rank their questions on a scale of 1 to 10, during the best of times, I've gotten a 3 or 4 on the questions. And I'm not saying you don't have great questions. You probably do. But there's nothing worse than having bad questions than asking no questions at all. When I was in financial services, I saw people go out on an appointment already knowing what they were going to prescribe. Could you imagine walking into your doctor and he doesn't ask you a question, but prescribes you medication or recommends a surgery, how would you feel? I think that when action happens before knowledge is gained, it sends up a red flag. Sales leaders, sales professionals, this is the best time to hone our questions. And I want to share something with you. We need to ask more questions now than ever. And we have people's attention. They're listening if we're asking the right questions. You've got to design those questions. In fact, I'm gonna share something with you at the end of this. You're gonna get a free handout that can help you with some of your questions. I'm 100% committed to every person on this call to help you refine your questions. It's that important because there's two critical components to asking questions. And we're gonna do a lot of it virtually right now, but here's what we need to remember. The person asking questions guides the conversation. You see, people don't have time to waste right now. People take time much more seriously than ever before. So sales professionals, create the questions that guide the conversation and be confident. Be confident in what you offer, be confident in the future, be confident that you're pushing that pedal down right now and driving sales because you believe in what you have, because the most confident person wins the conversation. So if you're guiding it and winning it, it's a win-win for you and for your client. It's a win-win for you and your prospect. But our questions have to be relevant. And I want to share with you a technique I use. I always ask two questions, a 10 question and a 0 question. I call them 10 to 0 questions. And I want you to think about what your 10 questions are, and I'm going to explain how I use it. So from a sales perspective, I sell our services. We have sales training, we have strategic planning, we have leadership development. If I'm speaking to a client about leadership and I have a leadership program to sell, I may ask a question like this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is leadership development in your organization? They will probably answer at 10. So I have to know my 10 questions. You need to ask questions where your client or your prospect will give you a 10. And then follow it up with a 0 question. A question where they will probably rank it very low or give you a 0. So when somebody ranked a 10 out of 10 for leadership development, I would then ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your current leadership program? And that they would rank very low. So if they gave me a 10 on how important is leadership and a 0 on how well they've implemented their plan or their program, I would say I can help you fill that gap. If I'm just asking the same questions that I used to ask before COVID-19, I have missed the mark. Right now, what I'm discovering is there's a gap in leadership. There's not a unification happening. So my question on selling for leadership is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how important is it that your leaders are unified, that there's a cohesion among your senior leadership team? And they will say a 10. Everybody's saying a 10. Yeah, I'm getting some hand raised on that one. And then I will ask them a 0 question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, how tight is your leadership team? How cohesive are they? How unified are they? And they're finding out it's not as cohesive or as tight or as unified as possible. And I say, I can fill that gap. Even during these times, I will fill it virtually for you. If you're on this call right now, if you're listening in, redefine your questions. Make your questions greater and more relevant than your competition. Now, as we bring it all home, there's one final thing that we need to shift. We've shifted our focus, shifted our actions. Now we have to shift our style. And what do I mean by that? This is the way we're doing things. The traditional ways: sell more products, close more deals, cash bigger paychecks. People even talk about this in their meetings, their sales meetings. They talk about who they sold. They talk about how they closed them. They even have, let's hand out the biggest checks. I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that's the old way of doing it. I'm also saying you wouldn't do that if your client were in the room. Nobody would be showing their big commission checks while the client's in there. Very few of us would. In fact, if somebody tried to get you to buy something and they said, hey, I'd like you to buy this, I just want to sell more products to you, I want to close you, and I want to cash bigger paychecks. How many of you with a raising of the hands would be out the door? That's not the way we want it done to ourselves, but it's the way that it's happening out there. For 20 years, I have preached against this. That's the traditional way, the old way, and that is not going to work today. That is not going to work. And you're going to find out who's who if you're just out there trying to sell when you should be out there doing the Think Great way. We all have the opportunity right now to stop selling and start sharing, to stop closing and start opening, to stop focusing on cashing checks and start focusing on delivering more passion. We need to share what we offer. We need to open more opportunities, open more dialogue, open the opportunity for referrals. I just received a referral the other day, and they became a client. But I share what we do. I never sell you. I will never close you. I will only open up our relationship. I'm not focused on cashing paychecks. I am focused on delivering more passion. And we're going to bring it all home with the F word. No, not that one. How many of you, by a show of hands, have said the F word during COVID-19? All right, maybe you don't even, okay, all right, I shouldn't ask that. Yeah, that was off the charts amount of engagement on that one. That's not the one I'm talking about. Our style on follow-up. Hey, listen, you're going to find out how good your follow-up is right now. And I'm talking about following up, because if buying has slowed down slightly or has moved, our follow-up is critical. How many feel that the fortune is in the follow-up? Critical, isn't it? Absolutely. And your follow-up has to be better than, hey, just circling back. Hey, just touching base, checking in, following up. We got to be better than that. We have to be relevant right now. You will not be remembered for the sale that you make. You will be remembered for the impact you make. And your follow-up is going to help. And you got to take a close look at your follow-up toolbox. That's going to be in the handout that I got for you. You're going to see that posted into the chat line pretty soon. You will be able to download that. You got to take a close look at what your follow-up touches are. Maybe you offer a company overview that's suggesting some of the new things you're doing during this time period. Maybe one of your follow-up touches is making a referral to a client or talking about industry events that are happening virtually, sharing some testimonials of how you have helped people during this time period. Maybe some articles on positivity right now. You want an article on positivity? Email me, let me know. We got a ton of them. There's enough articles out there on how negative it is. Maybe there's some great blogs. We have a podcast. We have webinars. If you want some free stuff to give to your clients, you just let us know and we'll get them fired up with you. There's all kinds of stuff that we could be sending out. Take a close look with your team and make sure that the touches in your follow-up toolbox are relevant. And I'm going to bring it all home with this. This is the perfect time to take our temperature. I'm not talking the old school way. I'm talking we got to find out how we're operating right now. At 211 degrees, you have hot water. At 212 degrees, that water boils. The same exact water now boils, and that 1 degree of difference creates steam. Steam creates energy. Energy creates power, the power to move your vehicle. And that power will deliver results. Let me ask you a question, just a show of hands. How many of you can commit to me to just make 1 degree of difference right now in the way you're doing things? That's what I'm talking about right there. That's why we're on this call. That's why we're in the driver's seat of our vehicle, and we will not be stuck in the parking lot of mediocrity. This will end, and we will drive past it. As our give back to you, as a thank you for listening to what I have to say on sales today, we're going to give you a portion of our Sales Driving School workbook. You're going to get 2 pages. It's going to have a section in there for your wanted poster, so you can focus on your prospects. It's going to talk about your follow-up touches and your questions. Just download that, pass it around to your team. And also, in order to answer the hundreds of questions that we've had, next Wednesday, we will kick off our Wednesday webinars. We're committing to doing a webinar per week on Wednesdays around 3 p.m. And I am going to do a Q&A only webinar next week. I am going to try and answer all of the questions that have come in. You're going to see a link pop up in the chat. This is going to help us to get you registered. You're going to get registered for this. There's a section on there to ask some other questions. We're going to be compiling these questions. You have questions during chaos, and we have answers. I want to thank every single one of you for being on this call today. I believe in you. If you're on this call, you have a motion mindset. This is the time when we need to step up as sales professionals, as sales leaders. This is the time when we are called upon. This is the time when we will find out who's who. I'm going to encourage you to rev that engine, and I am here to support you. Thank you so much for being on this call. Please help to pass this along, our resources, our webinars, and we will see you on the other side. You guys have a great day.